And I think with the control of women's bodies, it's also postpartum too. And there is a postpartum after miscarriage.
Yeah.
Like your body is going to change. And I was so shameful of that. Like how much I wanted to change my body after that first miscarriage.
Mm,
Like shit. Like
yeah.
that's all I wanted. And I ran a race and I was doing all those punishment diet culture things, right? Because my body was not getting back. And I'll tell you, my weight did get back. My body didn't, because you are a changed person afterwards. And that's not
Mm,
a bad thing.
yeah.
You're changed. That baby's DNA is with you always. But there's very much a pressure for, I mean, parents in general, you want to parent like you don't work and work like you don't parent, right?
Yeah.
And then for women, it's like you want to look like you didn't have kids,
Yeah.
even though you did.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that. I think there's like that societal pressure there.
Hey, Brittany.
Hey,
It's so good to see you too. Oh my gosh. Like,
it's been a while. Like
it
we
really
talk
has.
regularly on Instagram and stuff, but it's been a while since we've seen each other.
I know, I know. I was thinking last night, like, I was like, all of these interviews I've done with people that I know, but they're all people I haven't seen in forever. So then, like, the first part is always like, oh my God, like, you just forget about the whole interview part. And I was thinking last night, so I could kind of like try to bypass it. But I was like, I know once I see you, it's gonna feel different. But I was laughing too, because I know, like, the last time I saw you was like, super funny because I ran into you at the farmer's market and
Yeah.
I recognized your son and I was just like,
You're like, wait, I know that kid. I do that with dogs too. I'll
yeah,
be
oh my
like, oh my
gosh.
gosh, I know that dog. Wait, I know that person.
That was literally it. But then, like, I think just because, like, it was, I mean, it's the farmer's market, but he was in the middle of the street, he was safe. But I literally was like, I know that kid. Why is he in the middle of the street? What are you doing?
I'm a good parent, I promise.
You are. Oh my
Yeah, I know. And
gosh.
you were there in the beginning, like of me
Yeah.
starting this business.
I
So
know. And even thinking
yeah,
about that, I was like, I don't have a great concept of time, but I was like, I can't believe how long ago that was.
it's almost 8 years ago.
8? Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, seriously. And it's so weird, like, just knowing, yeah, just like kind of going back and realizing that I was kind of there when you first started. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. And I haven't had, so your role, like you were office manager and everything, but like you were in person. Like everybody I've had for office assistant or manager has been virtual. So you were like my
Okay.
last in-person person. And that was so nice to be like
Yeah.
greeting people. And now I'm like
Yeah.
putting in my emails, when you get there, sit on the couch. I'll be out. I promise. It would be nice. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you for saying yes to this. Your story is just very unique. I also know that there are women who experience something even remotely close to what you've gone through. And I just feel like your story can be really, really helpful. And also, honestly, I just love how raw and unfiltered your feelings and emotions are when you share things on like Instagram. And having being a person who has not experienced those things, it's really, I don't want to say refreshing, it's very eye-opening, because I don't feel like we get to see that kind of like representation, that kind of like commentary on those experiences. So that was another reason why I wanted to talk to you today. So thank you so much for doing
Yeah.
this.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate hearing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things I really like to do with people is have them introduce themselves. So, however you like, your own words, tell us who you are, Brittany.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Brittany Jones. I'm a registered dietitian. I'm a business owner. I'm a wife and I'm a mom of one baby on earth and four in heaven. I also have a cat too. I should say that too. I'm a cat mom now. Have you seen Callie? She's
Oh
so
my God.
pretty.
She is
She knows
gorgeous. She's
it.
gorgeous.
She absolutely knows it. And she absolutely is daddy's girl and she loves Trevor the most.
That's her name, Kelly. That's cute.
Callie.
Callie. Okay, okay.
Callie. I
Oh my
didn't really
gosh.
think about the fact that I have a Cassian and a Callie. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, here we go. Like, and I did that to myself. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, one of the things that I think I would love to do is kind of start off with where you are now. Like, can you talk about what does motherhood look like for you right now? Like, how does that feel for you in this current season?
Yeah, for me, I think motherhood is really loving all of my babies. So I'm sure we'll kind of go through the journey, but I mentioned that
Yeah.
I have four in heaven and one on earth, and kind of my journey, my very first pregnancy. So I have recurrent miscarriage, obviously, but that's like the clinical term.
Mm.
the recurrent miscarriage, RPL, recurrent pregnancy loss, and my very first pregnancy was a loss. We've never had an issue with infertility, but it's like every single time, like we don't have an issue getting pregnant, but it's more like hanging on to the pregnancies, I guess, is how
Yeah.
people that have RPL kind of describe it. And so for me, it's really loving all of my children, something that I always kind of think about and that I tell other moms that have had one miscarriage, or even if they've had, miscarriage can come in so many different ways. Like for
Yeah.
us, each one pretty much has happened between 9 and 12 weeks after we've seen that first heartbeat,
Mm.
which is really hard. But it
Yeah.
also comes for people with that they might have like a brightened ovum. They might have an ectopic pregnancy. I've met so many people with ectopics recently. It happens in all different ways, but something that I always say to moms is, you're the only one that knew them. And in this very last pregnancy, which was likely like 99% my last pregnancy that I'll have, that's just something I said to myself every day. I'm with my baby today. I'm going to cry. I'm with my baby today, and I'm the only one that knows them.
Yeah.
But yes, your partner is there too, but I think miscarriage affects women in such a different way than men, because like you're with them every day and I'm the only one that knows them. There's a really cool research study. I've shared this a couple times, and maybe I think you shared it with me too, about like that DNA staying with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, yeah, that there's research that baby's DNA is always with you, regardless if, they made it earthside or not. So that I think is awesome, and that I carry with me. But I think part of my role obviously is a mother to Cassian, who's
Yeah.
4, and our wonderful rainbow baby. I got this tattoo for him.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love
And
that.
so it's a rainbow baby tattoo, but it's got 5 lines for all 5 pregnancies. But so being a mom to him every day and just being like fully engaged, I'm a very engaged mom. Like I love to play with him, love to do all these things with him. Obviously, I work in outpatient nutrition counseling, so like I use a lot of counseling skills too with him, and we cook all the time and all the things. So yes, there's that like earth side of it, but then also I think it's also just keeping my other babies alive in spirit, and they always come to me in angel numbers. Like I'm really big into angel numbers, dragonflies. That's
Yeah.
my other.
Yeah.
You knew
Okay,
me, I
see,
never
I was
had
like, I
tattoos.
was like, I remember that you had got the dragonfly. So when you showed the rainbow one, I was like, wait, I could have sworn it was a dragonfly.
Yeah, so that's on my other arm. But when I was going through the last pregnancy, I had all this dragonfly like jewelry and stuff like that. And I was, I get kind of crazy about it, because you just do. It's the
Yeah.
anxiety's insane. It's like detrimental.
Yeah.
So you get crazy about this stuff. And I was like, I'm sick of being like, I'm going to this appointment. I need to wear this dragonfly thing. I didn't wear the dragonfly thing. Something's going to go wrong. I was like, I'm just tattooing it on my body.
Yeah.
And so that they're always with me. And then we
Yeah.
see dragonflies throughout. The book I'm reading right now has 10 dragonflies in it. I see angel numbers all the time. Cassia knows what angel numbers are. So yeah, I think it's definitely being a mom and being very, very present with Cassian all the time, being involved in all the school parties, all the things he likes to do. But then also, yeah, carrying my other babies with me and just acknowledging that they're there and that
Yeah.
it was real. Like they were real. It happened.
Right.
Just because they're not here for other people to see doesn't mean that they weren't actually here, because they were.
Right. Right. Wow. All that's, beautiful. I feel like beautiful is not even like a strong enough word to describe it. I I love getting to see how close you are to your son because you share him on your stories and it's just so adorable, especially when you share those moments when he's just like, I don't know what he says exactly, but he's just like, "Mommy, like I enjoy this thing," or like, "You're my favorite thing," or whatever. Like all those
Yes.
things are so sweet. And then I know
So
you said
sweet.
like what was that you guys made? You made like some kind of like, I don't know, sweet croutons or something like that.
Oh, the crouton thing. Oh my gosh. Yes. My husband's an engineer, and he is a little engineer, but I'm a dietitian. I love to cook. I love food. And the truth of it is like, I don't have help here. It's just us. I don't have family here. So we are always together. And he goes to half day school. And, especially as when he was little, it's like, well, I got to make dinner. I got to make dinner. I got to test this recipe. Got to do the things. And guess what? You're making dinner too. So we just kind of jumped right into that. So he loves baking, he loves cooking. And the other day, I don't think it was a new recipe. I think I was just trying to make dinner. And he was just being crazy, just like 4-year-old energy, 4 p.m., like max.
Yeah.
And I had done a lunch at a doctor's office, and I catered it from Panera, and they bring this huge loaf of bread in a bag that's cut up. And I brought it home because I was like, Cassian would like this. I can leave them with 2 bags of bread. That's plenty. So I brought it home, and he was going nuts. And I was like, Cassian, let's tear up all of this bread into small pieces. Like, let's focus.
Yeah.
So we tore it up into small pieces, and he was like, why am I doing this? I was like, well, we can make croutons. And he does like croutons. And he was like, I want to make cinnamon croutons. I was like, that's not really a thing. He's like, yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. And I was like, okay, we could do cinnamon sugar. So we tossed the bread in oil and cinnamon and sugar, and like they came out great.
Yeah. Oh my
Like
gosh.
it was I was like, this is really great. This was a great idea. He said, I know. He's
Love
my
it.
son.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Love the confidence.
Yeah. Oh gosh, all the confidence.
Yeah.
First, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Only at this point, but obviously firstborn. But yeah, confidence all the time and excitement and happiness. It's just
Yeah.
4 is such a fun age. My gosh, I've loved 3 and 4.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Love that. So I know that you shared, you shared your tattoos, you shared the angel numbers, and you talked about, of course, having your son here on earth, and then, of course, having your 4 babies in heaven. Could you kind of share a little bit more about, like, how would you describe, I guess, how do you carry the weight of, what's been lost while also showing up for what's currently here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think in my mind, I'm not someone who I knew that I'd have kids, but I was never just like obsessed about like I need to have kids by this certain age. I need to, we always knew Trevor and I knew that we wanted kids, but I don't think it was always like we are having 3. We got like set on a number. I think just
Yeah.
in our minds we were like 2, but not more than 2.
Yeah.
If we had had twins the first time, we would have been done.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have ever tried again. So I think in our minds we pictured 2, but obviously life had a different plan, and it's this whole thing is just taught me that motherhood isn't defined by number of children that I have.
Yeah.
It's like the love and the support that you pour in. So yeah, how do you carry the heaviness of it? It can be quite heavy. I think, it's been a hard phase. So even kind of talking about the business, I've had the business for 8 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coming up in July. Of those 8 years, 5 of them I've been pregnant, breastfeeding, or grieving for 5 of them. Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I think I was thinking about this last night. So when I posted about this last miscarriage, which was hard because of all of them, I've had one of them at home and 3 of them I've had surgery again because they were a bit later. It
Yeah.
wasn't like when I had at home was at 6 weeks. The other ones, were measuring like 9+ weeks.
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate to be able to have a DNC and have that opportunity and option and be able to do it quite frankly the next day.
Yeah.
I was in a recurrent miscarriage group and I learned that that is not normal.
Right.
And a lot of people and many in like New York and California waiting 1-2 weeks just can't get in, which I can't imagine the heaviness of that. So yeah, so after this last one, I ended up with colitis afterwards because of the surgery. I ended up with ischemic colitis, ended up in the hospital. So I had the miscarriage, was sad about the whole thing, and ended up in the hospital. And I posted a reel about it, kind of sharing. I was off social media for a while. Probably no one noticed, but I was. And I shared, and the song that I put it to, I'm a big Taylor Swift fan, big Swiftie. The song I put it to is I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. And I can't think of anything, yeah, that could answer your question better. It's that you just do it with a broken heart. And I'm so productive. It's an art. Like, it's just, I cry a lot, but I'm so productive. It's an art. Like, that's straight up what it is. Like, literally,
Yeah.
those lyrics define it's like, I was going through this, pregnancy again, so also too, like with all the pregnancies that I've had, I've had more than 40 weeks of just first trimester with all these losses, just tired and, nauseous and anxious about body. It's just, yeah, it's just a lot. It's a big mental load. It's doing all of that and then having the loss. I put in the reel, like I was hiring at the time, I'm interviewing, going on the news, only eating like white bread and crackers. Like you just do it with a broken heart. I think that's my best answer.
Yeah. No.
And, type A, eldest daughter, firstborn of an Asian family. So that's what I do. Just kind of keep moving
Yeah.
forward. I'm not saying that's the right answer.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough after the first miscarriage, I didn't have an established counselor. That was kind of hard. And then, um, before we started trying again in 2023, I had 2 back-to-back miscarriages. So right before that, I started working with a new counselor that I've had. So that's been like clutch. And the reason why I probably can do it with a broken heart and I can keep going is because I have that support. So, I would say anybody that's going on a fertility journey or whatnot, get established with a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have that person to always come back to. Obviously, we talk about other stuff too, but just not having to go back and explain the whole story is huge, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you ever feel like there's an expectation from others to just move on or to just live your life differently? And given that you do have a child here on earth?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in terms of moving on, to start out with that part of it, like there's no bereavement loss. There's no like bereavement loss time, right, in someone's job typically built in. You don't get maternity benefits or leave after having a miscarriage or stillborn or anything but a live birth.
Right.
So is there support? Like, no, you really gotta, I mean, as a woman, you need to really advocate for yourself and ask for these things anyways. But I mean, especially like I think that's something, yeah, that needs to change. I would almost say that's a reason to a lot of people kind of stopped the whole 12-week thing of not saying anything till 12 weeks. Because the first time I did that, I hadn't told anyone and then I had a loss and it was incredibly lonely. And I
Yeah.
found myself watching videos of the women on the Today Show, all of which had infertility or recurrent miscarriage, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a round table and I was watching them before going into surgery because I felt so alone. So I would almost encourage, sharing with people you feel comfortable and confident with. You don't have to tell everybody, you don't have to put on social media, but, sharing with a couple people so you do have support, does something happen. But also like that would be a reason to talk to an employer too, because yeah, I had surgery,
Yeah.
3 times and then you have to be out. I own my own business, so I control this, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a friend who was going to have twins and she had stillborns and like you don't get maternity leave for that. You don't get FMLA for that. So yeah, I think support there is more needed in terms of expectations of how people expect me to act when I have one. I don't know that I've had as much like expectations of how they think I should act. I just get still all those questions are when are you having more? When are you having more? Are you going to have another? And I'm a New Yorker and yeah, I'm super blunt and honest and I get to the point and someone says that to me it's like random people. It's not like they're
Yeah.
people close to you. It's like someone at the
Yeah.
grocery store. Is he your only? Yes. Are you having more? I'll just say, I have 4 babies in heaven. I don't think so. Like
Yeah.
just shut it down, make them super uncomfortable. Like it's not okay
Yeah.
to just say this to
Right.
people.
Great response.
Yeah, to ask when are you having kids? When are you having another? Like you don't know what's going on. And you have people like me who are an open book, and you have people like me who don't mind putting people in their place. But then you have a lot of people who aren't that comfortable,
Right.
So
Right.
you don't know what's going on with somebody. Yeah, you can think in your head, but if they want to tell you, they'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, Brittany, are you open to like, can we kind of go back a little bit to maybe like the beginning of your motherhood journey? Can you tell us
Mm.
like tell us about the beginning of that journey? Like, I know you talked about you and Trevor always knew that you wanted to have kids, but was there a point when you kind of like, did you come to that realization? What was it like when you originally, decided that you wanted to maybe start conceiving?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it was 2019. That was our first pregnancy. And I think I just heard so much. I think there was a lot of conversation about infertility, which is good. I've tried to be more open about the conversation about miscarriage and recurrent miscarriage because I don't think there was any thought in my mind that miscarriage was going to happen. So, yeah, I think we thought about trying. And I remember saying to a friend, I was like, yeah, I think we'll try in the fall or something. And she was like, well, when you start trying, you're probably not going to get pregnant. I was like, oh, I'm not. That was kind of my first thought. So we were more worried about infertility. And then
Yeah.
again, like I mentioned, every time we've tried to get pregnant and one time when we haven't, we have gotten pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like that scares me more at this point, but you don't know how you're going to be, right?
Yeah.
Until you try. Very first time we tried, got pregnant. And then in my mind, especially going to that first appointment, seeing the baby's heartbeat,
Yeah.
first time ever. I think we were just like, okay, yeah, things are going good. We made it to the 8-week appointment. Super nauseous, super
Mm-hmm.
sick. Oh my gosh. It was like
Yeah.
I couldn't the reason okay, this is a good story. First pregnancy test ever. Woke up super dizzy. Did a pregnancy test, laid back down. Trevor was on my left-hand side and I said, "You need to come around the right. If I look to the left, I will throw up on you." Like I was so nauseous. And I'm convinced that one was a girl.
Yeah.
I'm really nauseous
Yeah.
with my girls. So I never found out, but I'm convinced that one was a girl. So yeah, I mean, I think we were more worried about the infertility part of it and then
Mm-hmm.
got pregnant, saw the 8-week, and then just assumed everything was going well. No one talks about miscarriage. No one talks about what to expect. Like they give you little notes, like if you start bleeding, bleeding is normal, but let us know, so on and so forth. Yeah, it was 2019. I was very much still building my business. This has happened twice. This is so weird. I had just hired my first employee, who's not the employee that you are thinking of. I hired someone and I was like, okay, you'll start in August because I was like, I want to get to that 12 week. So it was literally that week. And I was doing a presentation for a group of med students and I noticed blood, but I still had energy. I was still nauseous, all of this kind of stuff. And she gives me a call and says that she's not going to work for me. She quit before she even started. And then so I went into that doctor's appointment like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm pregnant. How they're going to cover maternity leave? All stressed about that. And then we went in, did the ultrasound, it didn't see a heartbeat. And that is like the most gut wrenching thing
Yeah.
and triggering to both of us of like going in and seeing the heartbeat and not seeing it again so much, Ronnie, that I did not want to go in for an 8-week appointment with Cassian. Like I wasn't going to do it. It was COVID too. So
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I had an out. I was like, they can't make me, you know? And I ended up getting a UTI and I went in because it didn't get treated right. So I ended up getting a UTI and went in and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, we're gonna do an ultrasound. And I was like, ah, shit. I was gonna,
Yeah.
sorry, guys, we're in here.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I was like, oh shit, like I wasn't gonna do this. And then, we saw it. But I mean, it was so triggering to see the heartbeat and not see the heartbeat
Yeah.
that I didn't even want to do it again. Obviously, I've done it 2 more times, but we're always very anxious going into that. So I think like we were excited. I think we were surprised. I think that we thought we were going to be on the other end of the spectrum, which is also very challenging,
Yeah.
very hard to get unexplained infertility diagnosis, super frustrating. But yeah, I think we were kind of naive about the whole thing. And I think also just being a dietitian and even my practice has changed over time, right? You've seen this and
Mm-hmm.
changed from being more, I don't want to say like diet cult, I don't want to say it's diet culture, but like kind of diet culture in that you have control over
Mm-hmm.
everything. Like I think diet culture, I'm more of a weight inclusive non-diet practice now, work with eating disorders. I think it's a lot more open. And at the time, I was just trained classically as a dietitian and trained classically in healthcare. And what does that tell you? Basically, if you do these things, you'll get this outcome because you're a robot. And the truth is, you're not.
Yeah.
So, I read the books and I ate the right things and I took the best prenatal. I still take that. I would encourage it to anyone. I think it's really great. But, I was like, I'm going to do all these things and I'm going to control the outcome. And because of this, I'm not going to have a miscarriage. But
Mm.
you can control all those things. But at the end of the day, genetics are genetics and what's going to happen is going to happen and you can't control it. And that's probably been the most humbling thing of all of this. I mean, you learn
Mm.
that as a parent that you can't control everything, but man, do you learn it through fertility and recurrent miscarriage is completely out of your hands. And I think that's the hardest thing about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like I
absolutely.
was controlling all the things. I was doing the exercise in a healthy way, still moving. I was eating all of the right things and, I did all this research and it still happened. And I think that was like the biggest gut punch to me and
Mm.
probably set me off on this whole getting away from the more controlling side of, diet and that part of the business probably does play into it too. But
Mm.
yeah, at the time it was like, I'm not a straight A student, but I'm like a B plus A minus student,
Yeah.
I'm a report card conscientious and hardworking. Yeah, C plus, I was being conscientious and hardworking.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the outcome that I thought we should have gotten. So yeah, that was that kind of first experience.
Yeah. At what point in that journey did you bring on the support of having like a therapist to talk to?
Yeah, so I wasn't working with a therapist at the time.
Yeah.
So it was like after the miscarriage and loss, and I did have surgery. And I thought about it, at the time when I had I had the miscarriage. I didn't know anybody that had them. I knew my best
Mm.
friend had a pregnancy loss, but it was later,
Yeah.
like after 20 weeks, which was entirely heartbreaking. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He knew someone else who had, I think, 2 or 3 miscarriages. So recurrent, not that I knew that word at the time, but they were earlier at 6 weeks. So I kind of had these two ends of the spectrum, and I fell right in the middle. And one had them at home, and one, obviously was at the hospital. She had to get a spinal and everything in birth. So I called both of them to kind of ask their opinion on what I should do and got their take on each and kind of made my decisions. Your choices are you can have it at home naturally. I started bleeding a little bit, so it already started detaching. Second option is to, at this point in time, on March 28th, 2025, there is an option to take a pill that you can have it at home. It just kind of speeds up the process. Or the third option is do DNC. So I was kind of weighing all the options. And in my mind, I think being in healthcare and being this far along and whatnot, and thinking, man, if this happens at home and Trevor's not home, Lily's going to find me like hemorrhaging on the floor. Lily was our dog.
Yeah.
And I just got afraid and I wanted to do the surgery. But so those are your 3 options. But I will say after that, they didn't do genetic testing. Anybody that's listening to this, you can do genetic testing. You have to ask for it. I just thought they would. And they did
Yeah.
it. And I became obsessed with trying to find out why. Like I went and got my medical records from the surgery just to see what they had to, like I became obsessed with it because they didn't genetically test and I thought they should have.
Yeah.
At this point, the two that we have had genetically tested have had genetic issues, Turner
Mm,
syndrome and trisomy 9. So we're just, and it was the exact same timing, Ronnie. It was the exact same. So it was genetic. It's nothing I did.
yeah.
Listening to this, it's nothing you did. It's not the chicken salad. Like you didn't lose the baby because you ate chicken salad, okay? It's nothing you did. It wasn't that random stressful day. Like, no.
Yeah.
It more than 50% of the time it is genetic. And like
Mm,
I've had, yeah, those ones 100% of the ones I've tested have been genetic.
yeah.
One from me giving an extra chromosome, one from Trevor not giving a chromosome at all. So
Wow.
also want to point out that this is just not a female problem. I think we need to talk about that more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of became obsessed with the why and grieving. And this was like the hardest thing that had ever happened to me in my
Mm,
life, you
yeah.
know? So I found a therapist at that time, worked with her for a little while, didn't have a great connection, took a break, COVID, had Cassian. And then after I had Cassian, I found a therapist that I just love and have been with for a long time. And
Yeah.
that's been super helpful.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's amazing. Through your journey and the things that you do share online, I learn a lot. Like I think it was through you that I actually learned about DNC. And I learned
Hmm.
about, how necessary that is. I know you just mentioned that you were able to get genetic testing on two of your babies, but not the first. What was the difference? Like how did you feel, having to like what was
Yeah,
the
that's a
difference in
great
feeling
question.
that? Yeah.
The first one, I totally, oh man, I blamed it on so many things, Ronnie. The first one,
Yeah.
I blamed it on thyroid because I found out with, I'm someone who's very much everything happens for a reason, right? Everything that happens, learning from things, yeah, into dragonflies and angel numbers and rainbows, right? So
I
I'm
love
very
it.
much that kind of person. But that first one, I was like, it was thyroid because during Cassian's pregnancy, from that blood work that I had at the hospital to when I was 6 weeks pregnant with Cassian, my thyroid doubled.
Hmm.
So, and I have to be on thyroid medicine when I'm pregnant, only when I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
So I was like, that was it. And then I was like, or is it like blood sugar? Or is it the chicken salad? Right? I ate a sub once, or was it stress? Or
Yeah.
was it XYZ? I was so painful. And so, yeah, I put so much pressure on myself. I'm going to tell you, I put that pressure until this past summer.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, until like we had that the so okay, timeline. 2019 September miscarriage, then got pregnant again with Cassian. He was born our angel baby December 2020 during COVID. Whole nother thing having a COVID baby. Decided we wanted to try again, though we were in the weeds. Man, were we in the weeds. We were exhausted. But in January 2023, miscarriage at 6 weeks, and then immediately got pregnant again, like never even had a cycle, and then had a miscarriage on my birthday, my 35th birthday in April 2023. Took a long time to get over those back-to-back ones, and then
Mm-hmm.
tried working with a fertility specialist, not that we just like to have more monitoring. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna more monitoring, more answers. Like if I'm gonna do this again, I'm gonna have more than one ultrasound and be
Yeah.
talking to somebody and just like set my mind straight. We did that this summer. So and then that miscarriage was in July 2025. So from 2019 to July 2025, like I think I still blamed myself for that one. It wasn't until I got that second genetic test, knowing it was the same exact timing, that I was like, it's not the chicken salad.
Yeah. It's not.
So I think there's just so much blame. And I think a lot of that comes from culture. I think a lot of pressure is put on women and women's bodies. I don't think people talk about men and how that contributes, whether it is like, conception and things that men could be doing to improve conception and not just injecting women with all these hormones and things like that. Like, yes, we're the vessel, but we're only half
Yeah.
of this baby. But even in miscarriage too, I think talking about how that genetics and everything plays in there too. So yeah, there was a lot of blame
Yeah.
right afterwards that lasted for a long time. Like I would think about it every single day.
Yeah. That
So
makes a
yeah,
lot of sense.
the
Yeah.
mental load, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even imagine.
So I think having those answers of the genetic testing helps me a lot. And this is what they do. So again, I just like to share this because you don't know unless you've been through it. So
Yeah, you
you go
don't.
in and you have a blood test. So again, you got to ask for it. And every time I had gone in now, I like confirm. But they would do a blood test before you went back for surgery. So if no one pulled your blood before surgery, you're not getting a genetic test because they pull your blood and they have your DNA. They match it with the baby's. That's how they know it's maternal or paternal. So baby girl, Maya, I talk about her sometimes. That was the one in April 2023. So Maya had Turner syndrome. So Turner syndrome, you can be born with it. Only 1% of babies with Turner syndrome are born. So funny. Right before I found out, too, one of my dietitian friends posted that her daughter had Turner syndrome and she was in daycare with Cassian. And I didn't even know. She had
Yeah.
glasses, but I was like, everyone has glasses. I have
Yeah.
glasses. Like, I didn't think anything of it. And she posted her journey. And I said to Trevor, oh my God, because it was like that same timing. I said, oh my gosh, I wonder if our baby had Turner syndrome. And the next day, the doctor called and told me that's what it was. I said, I just read about, things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
I just read about this. So she is, oh my gosh, such a miracle because 99% of the babies with Turner syndrome are not born. And what happens is they have one X chromosome. So you need two chromosomes, right? You get one from the mom, which is an X because we have two X's. And you get X or Y from the dad. And my husband just, in this case, didn't give a sex chromosome. And this happens sometimes. And that's what happens with Turner syndrome baby because you have one from the mom. It's just when the dad doesn't give one for whatever reason. And they end up a girl because they only have one. So yeah, it obviously causes a lot of health issues and things like that. So found that out. And then this last one being trisomy because I gave one more 9 chromosomes. So that was a baby boy and had 3. So kind of knowing this now and understanding it more, I definitely have like less guilt and blame and can share with others that I'm just going to keep saying it's not the chicken salad. You're going to be like this girl in chicken salad, but you're going to remember me saying it. It's not your damn fault. Like, it's not your fault. Like, these things happen and work out. And I think they're just not talked about. I think there's a lot of shame around it. And even with me being more open, I'll tell you that my mom has had people that she's known for 30 years say, oh, I've had miscarriages. And she's like, I didn't know that. I would have
Yeah.
supported you. She didn't know. And friends have their moms share miscarriages and stillborns and fertility issues they've had, and they never knew it before.
Yeah.
So I talk about it because I process externally, but I also talk about it because I think it helps start conversations that need to be happening. Yes,
Yeah.
infertility conversation is going on, but there's so much we don't know about miscarriage, particularly recurrent miscarriage, and we
Mm-hmm.
need to be talking about it more because it's not shameful. It's not your fault. And you shouldn't walk around feeling like a failure and like you did something wrong because you didn't. It's just happens and it sucks. Freaking sucks,
Yeah,
but it
absolutely.
happens.
Yeah. So thank you so much for saying that. And I know that you shared some of the reasons why, there really is no conversation about it. So I think I have kind of like a two-part question.
Mhm.
Why do you feel like there is such a hesitancy or resistance to people talking about it? And then also, do you notice a difference in people talking about it from when you first experienced to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll answer the second part first. So, do I notice a difference from then to now? Yeah, I think people talk about it more. Maybe because I've talked about it and they feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you the number of people, follow me on Instagram at Brittany Jones RD, I'm here to talk, who said, I just had a miscarriage and you're the only person I know who's also had one. And I'm not. I'm not
Right.
the only person.
Right.
Half the people with kids have had them,
Yeah.
but I'm the one talking about it and like just talking to them through it or about it or answer questions or just being there or just there to listen when they say, I never realized how this felt before it happened to me. So I do think it's changed. I think the conversation has changed. I think people are being more open about it. I even see more celebrities, I think, being open about it more
Mm.
too. So yes, I think it has changed. And you don't have to share if you're not comfortable putting on a
Right.
public platform like I am. That's totally fine. But again, I just want people to know that they're not alone because I just felt so alone. So that just kind of put me on this, mission. Once I felt so alone that I was like, I don't want anyone else to feel the way that I did, and I
Yeah.
do think that's getting better. Remind me of the first part of the question. Sorry.
The first part of the question, why do you feel like there's such a stigma, a resistance to people talking about having had miscarriages?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of shame. I think there's a lot of shame and feeling like it's your fault, and I don't know what the conversation was 30 years ago, when our parents were having them or my mother's never had one. That was the other thing. Like my mom never talked to me about it because she never experienced any of this, right? So I think that there was a lot of shame that it hadn't been talked about. I think that just like I was thinking in that first pregnancy, Ronnie, it's like you do the things and you do them right and you get a good outcome. And I think that's just like the way that we go about things. And that's not how this works. Like, we don't
Yeah.
have that kind of control. So I think there's shame in feeling like it's your fault. It's your body's fault. There's something that you did wrong. It's usually never, it's all the woman. Like, something you did wrong in your life, like eating, drinking something, exercise, stress, anything like that, but also like something wrong in your body, like your body is broken. So I think there's just a lot of shame with it tied into just women's bodies in general, right? That's a whole nother conversation. But this whole idea, yeah, that women's bodies can be controlled. I think that's probably what it goes back to, that women's bodies can be controlled, that you can control everything about this, and you can't. I think that's why people don't talk about it as often. And again, that's fine too. You don't have to share everything, and that's totally fine. But I just want people to know that you didn't do anything wrong. It's not your fault. And this happens to more people than you think. And it's been happening to more people than you think forever. What is that musical? Oh my gosh. What is that musical, Ronnie? Is it Seven? Is it called Seven? The one with King? Oof, let's Google it. I think it's called Seven the musical. I can't even. The king who had all these different wives. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, kinda.
It came to, man, I was like so excited
Yeah.
when it came to Greenville, and I was like so lit up by this. All right. Six the musical.
You were
So it's
close.
called Six the Musical, reimagining the six wives of Henry VIII as pop stars who would clean their narratives and rewrite their own stories. So he kept marrying women because he couldn't produce an heir. I think he had one son, and then the mom ended up dying. And I think they said in the musical that was love is with the life, whatever. It's a good musical. It's quite short, but it's very
Yeah.
good. So they were talking about that, and he just kept marrying another woman, because no woman was, quote, producing an heir. It was his problem.
Right.
He was the one genetically not producing an heir. It had nothing to, like, you have to go through six to figure this out. So this has been going on forever. That's my point of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Henry VIII. This has been going on forever. It's not just you.
Yeah.
It's not something new. We can talk about environmental things all day. And yes, the environment's changed, plastics have changed, food has changed. Like, everything has changed, but this was going on for Henry VIII, all right? So, this has been going on for a long time, and I think there's a lot of shame around it, but I think we just need to talk about it more, and it doesn't have to be publicly. It can be just with a friend, it can just be with a counselor. Would really encourage counseling, because I think you can feel so isolated and like, it's just me, it's just my fault, and that's not the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I love that you said that, because it's such a great point that, you don't have to talk about it. Like, you don't have to publicly share, especially if you're not comfortable with it. But I do also agree that there does need to be more conversation around it, more education. I mean, to be honest, more conversation around women's health in general.
Yep. Yep.
So I do love that you talked about, I mean, you said a lot of what the issue really is. It's just this concept, this idea of controlling women's bodies. And with you working in being a registered dietitian, working in this field, I guess, are you open to talking about maybe how did your relationship with your body evolve throughout
Yeah.
all of this?
Absolutely. And I think with the control of women's bodies, it's also postpartum too. And there is a postpartum after miscarriage. Like, your body is going to change. And I was so shameful of that. Like, how much I wanted to change my body after that first miscarriage.
Mm,
Like, shit. Like,
yeah.
that's all I wanted. And I ran a race, and I was doing all those punishment diet culture things, right? Because my body was not getting back. And I'll tell you, my weight did get back, my body didn't, because you are a changed person afterwards, and that's not
Mm,
a bad thing. You're changed. That baby's DNA is with you always. But there's very much a pressure for, I mean, parents in general. You want to parent like you don't work, and work like you don't parent, right? And then for women, it's like you want to look like you didn't have kids,
yeah.
even though you did.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that. I think there's like that societal pressure there. But yeah, I mean, how does it play into my work and my body image journey? I mean, yeah, I mean, just pregnancy in general sends you on a body image journey. I think body image after loss, I've talked about this a couple of times on Instagram, not a lot, but if you dig in the archives, you can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, body image after pregnancy loss is insane. I mean, because think about those two back-to-back pregnancies. It's like my body had changed for the first one. It hadn't even changed back. And then I got pregnant again. I mean, I was first trimester pregnant for 5 months. Sucked. So like, your body really does change then. And you show earlier and earlier every time you're pregnant. Like, this past time was my fifth pregnancy. Like, I was showing at 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So I think accepting your body, having value outside of your body amongst this time. I've also started body image counseling went to training on it for dietitians and working within my scope and obviously with therapists too. But I end up doing a lot more body image work with my clients now and even talking about the on discovery calls. Yeah, because I've gone through it. And I always kind of say, body acceptance and body love, some people can achieve that, some people can't, but we just want to get away from body hatred and body dislike. And when you're going through infertility and recurrent miscarriage, man, you are at such a point of body hatred because your body has betrayed you and your body can't do this thing that everyone tells you that you were born to do.
Yeah.
There's so much tied into this. So I've done a lot of body image work myself, went to that training, did that big training for dietitians and body image, totally was like using that for myself too. Absolutely. That was like why I was there. That was an added benefit. But I use those same tactics and it's really helped. And this is like a whole nother tangent, but I end up talking about House of Color all the time on social media. And it's like this color analysis thing. And I'm wearing my colors today. I always am. And that was such a cool thing for me to just like honor and love my body because, it has done good things. And it's the only person that knows all 5 of these kids, and that's awesome. And there's a beauty in that. And I wanted to stop trying to shrink it or minimize it or make it go away. Right. And just kind of honor where I am. And it's been fun learning about colors. I'm like a constant learner. So I'm always learning about colors. My husband's had it done. He's not. We look totally different. Ronnie knows this, but I'm a winter. He's a spring. Pretty sure Cassian's a winter though. And then doing style analysis. So, trying to honor my body in that way.
Yeah.
Gets me excited and just moving in joyful ways. So yeah, I've absolutely incorporated more body image work into my counseling and what I do because it totally plays in, especially postpartum of any kind, right?
Yeah.
Postpartum of any kind.
Yeah. And that's such a great reminder. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also just like how you kind of like integrated the things that you kind of like learned throughout your journey into the work that you do and how you're actually turning that to also benefit your clients as well.
Yeah, we work with a lot of postpartum on fertility, a lot of PCOS. So it did kind of naturally work into my work. But I think it's always a good reminder for, any moms. I will have a good amount of people who will do discovery calls with me and say, I feel comfortable sharing this with you, but I've also had several miscarriages or I'm having one right now or whatever it might be. And again, we want to work on those health promoting behaviors, your relationship with food, your relationship with movement, your sleep, your stress, body image over just, a number on the scale. Right. So I think that all kind of plays in. So yeah, again, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for carrying that on because I really needed that water for a second. I was like, what's happening? Well, Brittany, I think that so thank you so much for kind of sharing just even a bit of your journey with us from where you were at the beginning to where you are now. How would you say that your definition of motherhood has changed?
Yeah. I think the definition has definitely changed that you are a mother, regardless if you have babies on earth or not, right? You are, I'll even extend it to you can be a mother if you haven't even carried a baby, right? If you're caring for someone, if you're a caregiver. I'm all about dog moms and cat moms. Like being a mother is showing love, showing support, showing up, anticipating all of the things that you anticipate. Yeah. I think being a mother is so much more than just having a baby on earth. And I think that's a lot of how it's changed and just how I view it now versus just number of kids in a household.
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely. So if you could sit down with Brittany at the start of this journey, what would you tell her?
It's not the chicken salad. I would tell her to be curious, not be judgmental. That's something I say with my clients all the time. Be curious, not judgmental. I would tell her it's a journey. I would tell her to enjoy it. Even though I'm gonna cry. I've been good enough about not crying. Even the time of the loss, like that's the only time you have with those kids, and you're the only one that has it. So yes, I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hugging you.
Yeah, I've been good about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's heavy and you carry it and you carried it all the time. And just like any kind of grief, it hits you sometimes. It'll hit you like a bus. But then, I think where it just makes us so much more grateful for what we do have. And this is a story I did want to share. After this last miscarriage in July, we found out that we didn't have the baby and Cassian was actually at that appointment with us because we didn't have childcare. It was in the morning, it was in summer and whatever. So he was with us. So he was there, kind of saw it, didn't totally understand. He totally guessed that I was pregnant. He was like 3.5. So we just said, like, the baby isn't here anymore. The baby's gone to heaven. But Lily had just gone to heaven. So he kind of understood this concept.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And then Trevor said, what do you want to do? These people want to buy us meals. Do you want me to go out and get it? And do you want me to cook? Do you want to not do anything? It was the fourth miscarriage. After the first one, we went to a brewery in Asheville because I was like, whatever, I'm going to drink beer, right? The second one, Trevor wasn't even home. The third one was on my birthday. Ironically, that's the one where I had most support because everyone was texting me for my birthday. That one I felt the least lonely. This one, my favorite day of 2024 was that day. It could have been a really bad day, right?
Yeah.
But it was my favorite day and that I was most proud of because I was like, you know what? I don't want to be in this house. I don't want anybody to get us food. I don't want to do the things we've done before. I just want to go out and celebrate what we have. And in that reel with the Taylor Swift, I Can Do It with a Broken Heart, there's pictures of it. And we just went downtown and we just had a Cassie and Yes day. Like we went out and we got Thai food because Cassian loves Asian food. Obviously Asian. And we got that because I knew he would eat it and love it. And then I was like, okay, what do we want to do now? Like, let's go down to Carmela's and get this cake. Those like little bake cakes that they have.
Yeah.
We split that. And then we were walking and Cassian was like, oh, I want to go over there to Ndako and play with the games. And, we hung out outside and all of that. So that was my day that I was most proud of. For us was that it could have sucked. It did freaking suck, and I think Trevor and I both knew that was like it, and it was one of my last days with that baby, but it was like, we just celebrated what we had. And that was my favorite day of 2024 because it was a really fun day and we had so much fun with him and together. And we love being a family of three and we're grateful to even have him. So yeah, I don't remember the question, but that's the other side of
No,
it.
no. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that was beautiful. I do remember when you posted that video. So I guess one of the last things I'd like to ask you is what was it like, you and Trevor coming to the decision to stop trying to conceive?
Yeah. I'll preface it by saying that like we haven't done anything, to make that impossible. So I'll start off there. Like no surgeries or things have happened. So it's still possible, slightly terrifying because you know how easily I get pregnant. We are trying not to get pregnant, probably the best way to put it. So yeah, I think like how do we feel now with it? I think in the beginning it was hard and like hard to kind of come to terms with it. We process grief in different ways. So I think a lot of my grief was early on and through the summer, and then man, the hospital hit you when you're down, having to go to the hospital right after that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of mine was this summer, but there was a lot of things that we were like putting off. Redoing our kitchen, we weren't going to do that until we knew if we were going to have a second or not. Because obviously that having a second kid would cost a lot of money. So we're kind of moving forward on that, and that's triggering and closure for Trevor at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we said we wouldn't do this unless. So I think we're still processing it. I think we'll continue to process it. I think we're just honestly living in the everyday and just loving being a family of three. And I tell Cassian all the time, I love being your mom. It's my favorite job. I love our family. And then I'll say, I love our family of three. And he'll say, Callie, it's four. We have four. He loves her. He
Yeah.
wanted that so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got her. I told Trevor, I said, I'm not going through another pregnancy without an animal. It's not happening. So if
Yeah.
we're trying it for this last fifth pregnancy, we're getting
Yeah.
an animal and it's going to be fluffy. And man, dog on my Instagram, she's the fluffiest, most beautiful white cat with blue eyes. Like, whoo, striking.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Very, yeah, Siberians are great. So yeah, I think we're just our family of three plus Callie and leaning into that. I mean, there are things honestly that are easier with just one, like we are traveling with him and doing renovations and all this kind of stuff. It's easier with one kid too. So I think we're just kind of understanding the pluses to it while still mourning. Yeah, that's basically where we're at. Mourning our dream, right? But enjoying our reality. And yeah, something else I always say is people always say, like, I'm so sorry that this happened and it sucks, whatever. And I don't know, sometimes I just say, yeah, you don't always get what you want.
Yeah.
Because you don't. And yeah, that applies when you're like a little kid and you're Cassian and you want like your fifth kinetic sand thing in like a month, but like you don't always get what you want in life either. And that doesn't mean you did anything wrong. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Brittany,
yeah, I'd say that's kind of where we're at.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for all of it. Thank you so much for being open to this, for showing up so fully today, sharing everything, the realness, the hardness, and everything that's still beautiful. Thank you so much. I really feel like this story is just going to really resonate so much with people. And, I just know someone out there probably really needs to hear something like this, something that you said today.
Yeah. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity, the platform, and for thinking of me to share this story, because again, I think it's being shared more often. You know somebody who's had a miscarriage. You probably know 10, upwards of 10 people who've had a miscarriage, but it's not your fault. I think it needs to be talked about more, and you're not alone. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. So I always want to share that message. I don't want anyone to feel the way that I felt that day. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to hopefully make that true for at least one person.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like, I mean, at least one person, that's a big impact.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So thank you so much, Brittany. Is there anything else you would like to share before we leave today?
I don't think so. Thank you for letting me tell all my little stories. I was thinking of these
Yeah.
stories last night, so thank you for the stories. I don't think so. I'm here to chat, even if you don't know me and you follow me on Instagram and you just send me a message or have a question again about DNC or options or anything like that. Or even recurrent miscarriage. I will throw out there's a study. Yale's doing a study on recurrent miscarriage, so that's encouraging. So if you have any questions on any of this stuff, even if you don't know me, I am happy to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll make sure that I put all of your information in the show notes. So, Brittany, I know I have you for just 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
But one thing I do like to do with interview guests is I do like to do a rapid fire session. Would you be open to doing
Okay.
that? Just random
Take some water.
questions.
Yes, sounds good.
Random questions, whatever comes up, however you want to answer. If you don't want to answer, no worries. Sweet or salty snacks?
Salty.
What's your go-to feel-good meal?
Ooh, what came up was hibachi. I don't know.
Yum.
Sure.
What's a song that instantly lifts your spirits?
Anything Taylor Swift. I don't know if I can pick one,
Yeah.
but yes.
Yeah,
We've been listening to
absolutely.
Karma a lot. That's
Yeah.
Cassian's favorite song.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, I love that he loves Taylor Swift. I'm like that. It's just perfect for you.
He has to. He's my son.
Yeah. How do you take your coffee? Yeah. What's one of your favorite things to do with Cassian?
Probably cook. Cook and bake. Yeah.
What do you feel like is a piece of advice that you give to your clients that you also need to hear yourself?
Curiosity, not judgment.
Yeah.
Reflect
Yeah.
with curiosity, not judgment. With food, with life.
What's something small that brings you big joy?
Chocolate.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much, Brittany. This has really been fun, and it's great seeing you. It's always great to see you.
You too. We need to go out and get coffee for real
We
now.
definitely do. We
Yeah.
definitely do. Yeah, I'll
Or
make
do
sure
the
that we
farmer's
do
market
that.
again. I can't promise Cassie won't be running in the middle of the street. He definitely will.
At least, I
With the
mean,
truck.
it's a perfect opportunity for him too.
It is a
So
closed street, to be clear to anyone who's listening.
very
Like, there
much
are
so.
not
He's
cars
very
on it.
safe. Brittany is a great mom.
It's a closed street. But yeah, we haven't done farmer's market in a while. So maybe we should meet up there again.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. I need to go to the farmers market and get a few things. So I think we could definitely do that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you so much. I hope you enjoy your day.
You too. Take
All
care.
right. You too. Bye.
Bye.